You really can't quite get away with that with this stuff. And this is an excellent material piece of paper. So we have a...
We have one more chair over there if you'd like to sit.
Some background, and let's go from there. Pat?
Okay, hi. Can everybody hear? If at any time during the discussion, if anybody's speaking and somebody can't hear, raise your hand, and the person speaking knows to kick it up a notch, as they say. Okay. What we're going to do today is read and hopefully understand a little bit better the preamble to the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Everybody should have this one sheet of paper. It's got the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. It's got also a little brief history of just when they were enacted on the back. Okay, as David said, though we would usually just read this and discuss it and try to figure out the meaning, the Bill of Rights especially is very cryptic. So we're honored to have an expert, something we don't usually do in great books. This is Professor David Crump from the University of Houston. I've known David a long time. He's been not only a law professor, but an assistant district attorney in Harris County, so he knows all this criminal stuff too, as well as being a constitutional law professor. He's also a Renaissance man. He's the author of several, crime novels or mystery novels? Thrillers. Yeah. And poetry as well. So, in order to start out, what we're going to ask is for Dave to give us, 5 or 8 or 10 minutes, just to get us in the 4th of July mood about how the Bill of Rights came about. And then we're going to examine them along with the preamble individually. Okay.
Sure, it's super to be here. I appreciate it. We think about the Revolution, and that's the picture we get about the 4th, and I think it's terrific you're talking about the Constitution because it was many of the same people, obviously. They were radicals, and I like the note of, vague illegality, David, with which you started the meeting, because that's the way they were. They were rebels and radicals. At the time of the Revolution, we operated under the Articles of Confederation, you may recall from civics, and the reason was this was the frontier and the frontier spirit. We had 13 independent countries. That's what they thought about. When Luther Martin at the Constitutional Convention made a speech about, "Oh, my country," he meant Maryland. And under that confederation, we really had a headless government. We had a general, George Washington. We had a Continental Congress, which had no powers. They had the ability to beg for money, but not to get any. They couldn't regulate much of anything. And that's why the greatest diplomat of all time, Benjamin Franklin, was dispatched to get us funded by the King of France, and that's how we bankrolled the Revolution. After the Revolution, that was the government we had, the Articles of Confederation, and it was most unsatisfactory in several respects. The problems included the fact that the states were independent and somewhat greedy and protectionistic. New Jersey was likened to a caste tapped at both ends because New York and Pennsylvania, which had the ports, taxed the heck out of it just because stuff passed through. You had that kind of problem, and the national government had no ability to do anything about it. You had Rhode Island, which was the subject of even more condemnation because they passed debtor relief laws. Debtor relief sounds like a good thing until you try to borrow some more money, and then you find that you can't do it. And Rhode Island kept passing laws that basically exempted its citizens from paying debts to people in New York and Virginia. The result was that when the people came together in Philadelphia for that great convention, the first characters of the country, as it was sometimes put, an odd phrase today, the first characters, they were impelled largely by economic factors. And I think there was a strong feeling widely shared feeling that we needed a stronger central government, but there wasn't a lot of agreement about that, really, how much stronger. And you had the Federalists who definitely wanted a strong central government and protection for commerce, and you had the Anti-Federalists who were worried about getting into the same trap again with a strong central government that would override the states. And the document that resulted is a framework for a strong national government with powers of Congress that include things like taxing, spending, borrowing, regulating interstate and foreign commerce, the bankruptcy, coining money. You see their economic powers heavily. There are some provisions in the original Constitution, such as the Bill of Attainder provision. We rarely see those, so, I'm not sure anybody knows for sure